Good morning. So I need your help. I don't often ask you for very much apart from subscribing to the channel, but I need your help to help me to challenge the language used by mainstream media and a few people in power. We heard Keir Starmer labelling large chunks of the population as far-right thugs last year, and it didn't end well. I think it had a devastating effect across the country, a sort of ripple effect, if you like, across the country, and affected a whole lot of people. Now, we continue to have the media and a few people in power, for example, Sadiq Khan, which I'm going to come to his post in a minute. I'm going to deal with it more on my main channel, who talk about large chunks of people as far right, when all we really are is patriotic and supportive of British values, and we generally want to stand up for what the people generally want, which is, for example, controlling uncontrolled mass migration. So we want the authorities to get in charge of mass illegal migration to this country because of the effect that it has on this country. The Epping protests, they were protesting against those in the hotels because people were being arrested in those hotels for assaulting young children. These things are not far right to believe in. Now, I need your help to like this video, to share this video, because that helps this YouTube to spread this to a wider audience. And I will be your voice of reason and the alternative to the mainstream media in getting this message out there so that more people can hear and understand, because I dare say that some people will hear the media and people in authority say that, for example, the free speech rally at the weekend was a far-right march and that lots of people were terrified. This is complete nonsense, in my view. Now, let me just go to the statement by Sadiq Khan here. Now, in his post, he's turned off replies, as always, because is most of the time that I've ever seen his post, he turns off the reply. So there's no sort of conversation here. Nothing is more divisive than saying something and then not allowing anyone any right to reply. But here we go. He says, "We must unite against those who seek to divide us," which is ironic when he puts out a post which is going to divide lots of people, because I don't consider myself far right, and neither are you probably watching this. There are some who are far right. I'll talk about them in a minute. But he goes on to say, "I know many people, particularly from London diverse communities, are feeling extremely worried about the events on the weekend." Some might be worried, but I think some are, probably worried for no reason at all, or they're worried because of what they've read in the media or what they've read from people like Sadiq Khan here, in my opinion. He said, "It takes me back to how he felt growing up in the 70s and the 80s. Now we've come a long way since then." He said, "The leaders of the far right are once again attempting to hijack our flag, with minorities being intimidated and fear, hatred and division being sown." Now that's just so far from the truth about this rally on the weekend, this march on the weekend. So far from the truth that this is just irresponsible, in my view. And just as a free, non-sponsored shout out to Starlink to support Elon Musk for supporting the free speech rally at the weekend, Starlink are now doing the standard kit at £0 on a 12-month residential plan. Use my referral code, I'll link it below. That will also support me, and you'll get the satellite dish for free if you're disillusioned with your internet service provider. Check out Starlink. I use it. It's fantastic. He says, "As Londoners and as proud Brits, we must unite to reject the far right, as we have many times before." So what he's doing here is essentially saying that anyone who supports this rally at the weekend, or anyone who's putting up flags, or anyone that is supportive of British values, it appears to me that he is saying they're all far right and we should all unite against them. But that is fundamentally misunderstanding the point here. And I think is dangerous, because it makes everyone else who reads those and who isn't waving a flag, isn't attending a march, isn't thinking about those things and being vocal about those things, it makes them feel that everyone else who is far right. And ironically, his post will only serve to divide the community, those who are taking part and those who are not taking part, and he's going to tell all of them that everyone else is far right. And I think that is just irresponsible. That is my view. Now, we get wonderful posts like this from Aja, a lady called Aja. Let me see if I can get it in focus. She posts here, she says, as a born and raised brown Londoner, this is how I found Saturday's march. The only division I feel in London is from Khan. She used other words as well, but you can see there she is quite proudly at this event with the flags, taking pride in British heritage, and this is absolutely representative of my point here. Now, let's deal with the far right. And what does far right really mean? Well, far anything usually means extreme. It is at the extreme end, the far end, if you like. So we can have far left, and obviously we've seen the devastating effect with Charlie Kirk, with far left extreme ideology, because of what was written on the ammunition and the people celebrating, horrifically, disgustingly celebrating his death. These far left extremists, in my view, celebrating his death. Much like we've got far left, we've got far right. Now, to label someone as far right I think is defamatory, first of all, because it's saying that you're an extremist, and it is flat out wrong for the vast majority of people. Because whilst I can't tell you exactly how many people were on that march at the weekend, I think it was far more than 100,000. Probably not the millions that some people have said there are, but I think several 100,000 when you look at all of the streets that were wall to wall, shoulder to shoulder, heavily condensed areas of people, hundreds of thousands of people. They were not all far-right extremists, I can tell you that much, because they were all there absolutely celebrating the British flag, British customs, British heritage, demanding free speech, control of our borders, all these kind of things. They are not far-right ideologies. A far-right, i.e. an extremist right ideology, would be someone that is willing to resort to violence to absolutely protect whatever they think of as pure English ethnicity, etc. Now, I believe it or not, in my how ironic this is, I recorded a short video for Restore Britain yesterday to put out to support their petition for mass deportations of illegal migrants to this country. I gave 3 reasons for that. You can go and check it out. You can watch my video. The 3 reasons, I said it is not about race or religion, because I don't believe that it is. It is not because, like, for example, the reason I say that it's not about race or religion, and this is the distinction between someone who has views that might be right of centre but are not far right, are not extreme right. I would no way say that this batch of people should be deported because they are black, or because they are Muslim, or because they are from wherever. I simply wouldn't say that, because that is not what I believe. It is not about race or religion. So I wouldn't say any of those things. What I do say is that there are 3 reasons that we should sign that petition for mass deportations of illegal migration. The 3 reasons are the risk aspect, because we know nothing about them, so it's a heightened risk. There's a cost aspect, because it is obviously costing a huge amount of money, and the sustainability, which sort of goes hand in hand with cost, because the ramped up costs some £6 billion a year or whatever, and the estimates, they did estimate £3 or £4 billion over 15 years for the accommodation and such, and now that's exploded to roughly 15 billion. It's getting out of control. If you multiply that across the numbers that are coming in, then they will be eligible to bring family over, etc. These numbers will get out of control. So it is not sustainable. So there's risk, cost, and sustainability. Those are the 3 reasons I gave for that. None of those, and I made very clear at the beginning of that video, that it is not about race or religion, because I would never say that this bunch of people should be deported because they're black, because they're Muslim, or whatever. I think that would be an abhorrent thing to say, and I wouldn't say it. Some people will say that, and some people will believe that. I think that is pushing more to the extreme end. Now, how far extreme that is another question. The irony following my video is that some people were attacking me to say that I have a Chinese wife, therefore I'm a traitor. This is absolutely crazy, because I did this video to support the petition for mass deportations of illegal migrants to this country, but with very good reason. I always like to justify what I say. I won't just say something without any justification. And I'll be open to be corrected, and I'll be open to be wrong, perhaps, if I've misjudged something, misunderstood something. But I gave my reasons for that: cost, risk, and sustainability, but not anything at all to do with race or religion. But because of that, there were several trolls on the X post attacking me as being a traitor. Now, they are the true racists, and they are truly right-wing in my view. I think the extreme are those that are willing to resort to violence and violent protest and things like that. That is the extreme far right. Those are the extreme views that I think we should stand against, and I absolutely agree with that. But people saying that they just want Britain to be British for English and so on, I mean, I don't fully agree with the way that they say it, but I'll fight for their right to say it, and I don't think that they are necessarily extreme right-wing, even when they say things like that I don't agree with. And no disrespect to you if you hold those views and you're watching this, but at the same time, I don't think you would go out and resort to violent protest because of those views if you're watching my video here. I mean, maybe some people are, but hopefully they're not. I don't want to attract those kind of views, but I think some people will resort to violence, and those are extreme and absolutely right. The law should stamp that out, because that is absolutely wrong. Now, very few people were arrested with clashes with police and anti-protesters at the weekend, so that did happen, regretfully. But at the same time, there have been hundreds, even thousands of arrests at Palestine marches over the last few years, and some people have resorted to violence there as well. That is equally wrong, and obviously those views might be extreme as well. But at the same time, I will fight for people to have their view and express their view, so long as it's within the confines of the law. And so where I need your help is to get this, hopefully, common sense explanation in this video, which I feel desperate to get out. I need your help to like the video and share the video so that more people will see this. The media will stop labeling vast swathes of the population as far right. Because now that I've given you what I believe is a real explanation of far right, I think you'll agree the vast majority of the population are certainly not far right, and certainly not Aja here. And she is not the only example of someone who was at this march at the weekend, and she has put this post out to challenge this narrative. And so I need your help to challenge that narrative. We cannot allow the mainstream media to continue to label large chunks of the population as far right, just as Keir Starmer did in his speech last year. Now, in his defense, which it pains me to say, but in his defense, I hope that he was speaking to the very, very few minority of people that I've described in this video that resort to violence. And those are far-right thugs. I would agree with that. If they're resorting to violence and going beyond the bounds of the law, beyond the bounds of free speech, and beyond the bounds of what we should really expect as a civilized society, those are then what I would consider far-right. And I think in that sense, Keir Starmer was right. Where Keir Starmer made an error of judgment in that sense is there were lots of people protesting and marching and objecting to what was going on, calling for change last year in what they called the civil unrest. Now, there were so many people at those events dotted around the country. Few of them were actually participating in violence. Now, of course, the law should deal with those, but that, in my view, blurred the lines so much. Because he was saying those things, I believe that he blurred the lines far too much. And so that far too many people were then labelled far right. The media jumped on it. The media, a lot of the media leans left. Some of them lean right. And you probably know where they are. On my other channel, I sponsor with Ground News to tell you about that, because they provide you both sides of the picture. They tell you whether the news company is left or right leaning. Maybe you didn't even know about that. there is a discount for it. This video is not sponsored, but there is a discount for it. It's 40% off, which is quite great, using my code BBB. But again, this video is not sponsored. I use it because it gives you both sides of the picture. I didn't know that some of these news outlets lean left, for example. And so depending on what you read, the vast majority of the public may likely be swayed by what they read and whether they are told that you, because you're waving a flag, are far right. Now, I've had private conversations with people over the last few weeks about exactly this, and I said to him, a very respected man, he knows who he is if he watches this video, I said, yeah, I think you and I both know that some people are waving these flags out of good-natured, good-hearted patriotism, and some are waving it for the wrong reasons. Now, a lot of people are jumping on anyone waving a flag to say they are obviously far right because they're waving a flag, and I think that is so irresponsible, because then it suggests that anyone who is waving a British flag or the English flag, I think then they are labelled and they are wrongly judged as being far right. But as I've said, far right is such a dangerously misconceived, misconstrued label. We need to stop it, and I need your help to do so. So if you agree with me, please let me know in the comments and share this video. Thank you all so much for watching. I had to get this out this morning because this is now getting out of control. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next one.